Okay, now we have the fourth episode of Star Trek The Next Generation, entitled Code of Honor. And this one was first on the air on October 19th, 1987, and it was written by Catherine Powers and Michael Barron, and directed by Russ Mayberry. And basically what the plot was of this episode was the Enterprise was arriving at a planet called Ligon 2, and the Ligonians actually had a rare vaccine that was needed to combat a plague on another planet that was part of the Federation. And the dealings between the Enterprise and the Ligonians are just one of just adapting to one another's cultures, basically. So that's the challenge as they begin the episode. And the Ligonians send a couple people to beam over to the Enterprise. The leader of that world, his name is Lutan, and they, greet one another, and they're being entertained by the Enterprise crew, and Lutan is especially taken with Natasha Yar, the chief of security. First, he is pretty surprised in the first place that their chief of security is a female, because that's new to their culture. They spend some time on the holodeck, and he sees that she's a good fighter, and as they're leaving, Lutan decides to kidnap Natasha Yar. So this immediately causes panic, obviously, with the Enterprise crew, and after doing a little research, they discover that this is considered to actually be a very honorable act by the Ligonians. So the proper thing for Picard to do is to ask Lutan to return Natasha Yar, which he does, and then Lutan basically says that they need to beam down to the planet, and then they'll discuss it. So they beam down to the planet, and Lutan gives them a formal banquet, and Picard officially asks again for Natasha Yar back in front of everyone. And Lutan, is happy that they, accommodate the customs of their culture, but he says that he cannot give Yar back because he wants Yar to be his first one, which is considered to be his primary wife. This immediately gets his first one, or his current first one, upset. Her name is Yarina, and she challenges Yar to a fight to the death to compete for that title as the first one. And Picard obviously objects to this, but Lutan says if they don't go through with it, then they will not get the vaccine, and they will not return Lieutenant Yar to the ship. So they concoct a plan, and basically what happens is Yar and Yarina do fight to the death, but as soon as Yar quote-unquote kills Yarina, they beam both Yar and Yarina onto the Enterprise, and Dr. Crusher is standing right there, and she immediately revives Yarina before the supposed death actually takes effect, and she's killed for good. Well, while this is happening, they actually kidnap Lutan and beam him to the Enterprise to discover what's happened. So technically, they honored the culture by Yar killing Yarina. However, they object to the fact of Yar becoming a first one, and Yar refuses this, obviously. She's not interested. And because Yarina actually was killed, quote-unquote, she is no longer bound to Lutan. So, since Yarina and all the other females on this planet own all the land, she now controls everything, and Lutan has actually lost everything. So it was a clever way for them to get around this cultural challenge. Now, there were several different opinions about this episode. The writers, had fun writing the episode because one of them actually was a huge Star Trek fan of the original series, and her name was Catherine Powers. So she was excited about getting to do this. However, a lot of other people did not find this such a favorable episode. In fact, one of the criticisms was that it was a racist show because all the Ligonians were cast as African Americans, which was not really a part of the actual script, but the director of the episode, Russ Mayberry, made that choice to do that. And actually, some of the actors on the show actually didn't want it to even air. Jonathan Frakes, who plays Commander Riker, really was very vocal about it and did not want this episode to air. In fact, the director, Russ Mayberry, he had apparently some encounters with the guest cast, who were the Ligonians, and his conduct was apparently not very good, and Gene Roddenberry actually fired him during production, and Les Landau actually completed the episode. So there was definitely some turmoil in this very early episode, and just with my own take on it, I don't necessarily consider it racist, because if you had cast white people with this, the actual script itself does not have any dialogue that makes it a racist show. My complaint about it is it's a pretty forgettable episode. The fight scene isn't that great. I didn't consider it very entertaining of a show. It wasn't bad, but it just was a very forgettable episode. And I only watched it because I made the promise to watch all of these episodes. So, I just feel like it's a thumbs down for me, because it's very bland, and, the shows in the future get a lot better than this one. But that is Code of Honor. Giving a short review on this, because I think that's all that this episode really merits. Stay tuned for the next episode, which is going to be called The Last Outpost. Thanks for watching, guys.